Have you ever had a nightmare that seems to go on and on with no end in sight? For example, you're doing a presentation in front of your class, when suddenly out of nowhere, you piss your pants. You try to find a way to escape and you run out the door, but the hallway is filled with people. You run down the hallway, but it never ends. It just keeps on going and going and going. Today we're gonna find the movie equivalent of this nightmare. No, not like that exact nightmare. Just forget that analogy. We're looking at horror movies that are long, might be the longest of all time. There you go. I found a list on IMDb of several horror movies with very long runtimes. We're gonna go through this beautiful list and look at these absolute gems of movies. See if they're good, see if they're bad, see if they're actually horror, see if they're scary, see if they're even movies. If I'm being honest, they're probably gonna be dog shit, but we'll see. Okay, starting with movie number 1, 24 Hour Psycho. So you can see here it has a runtime of 1,440 minutes. Which equals out to 24 hours. Now this is what I meant when I said, are these even movies? Because according to the description here, this is an art installation in which Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho from 1960 is slowed down to approximately 2 frames a second, making the piece exactly 24 hours long. So I think if you're taking someone else's movie and slowing it down to 2 frames per second, I don't know if that's actually a transformative new horror movie. Now there's no copies of this online, not like there'd be anything in there that's actually that interesting. So to be honest, even though this is 24 hours long, I don't think it should count on the list. So I'm gonna take it off the number 1 spot. Fuck you, Douglas Gordon, and your shitty movie. I'm just kidding, but if you really want to watch this, I guess you could take Psycho and slow it down to 2 frames per second. But I don't think that'll be an enjoyable 24 hours if I'm being honest. Now number 2 on the list is Amy's Night Out from 2007, clocking in at 675 minutes. Amy is a single mom who suddenly finds herself lost while try to escape a nightmare that ends up being a frightening reality. Always a good sign when there's a grammatical error in the description of the movie. Now I tried looking for this online or anywhere if there's even physical copies, and there doesn't seem to be. This is essentially lost media at this point. Okay, but there's a plot twist here. I looked at the Reddit r/lostfilms and was able to find this thread about this movie. One of the comments, written by Kiri Star, links the director's LinkedIn. In there it's mentioned as a short film. And if 675 minutes counts as a short length, then us guys are in trouble. So most likely, the runtime that's listed on IMDb is a mistake. Instead of being 675 minutes, I don't know, maybe it's 6 minutes and 45 seconds or something, I'm not sure. So since this runtime is an error, that means Amy's Night Out is banished off the list. Get the fuck out of here, Amy. And you, Jeffrey Leon, and your... Actually, we don't know if it's shitty, we haven't seen it. But Amy, get the fuck out of here. Okay, now on to glorious number 3 on our list. Fan, 2017. This one clocks in at 623 minutes. When a crazed fan finally gets to meet his famous idol, he is gets more, not this again, he is gets more than he wished for. As he is being held hostage as a household slave to create content for his kidnappers' socials, he tries to find a way out. You know what, I'm gonna give him a pass on the fucked up grammar here. This is a foreign film, okay? This is from the Netherlands, they can get away with it. Amy's Night Out, though, you're American, you should know that shit. Anyways, the plot of this seems like a plausible thing that might actually happen. You might see this in the newspapers one day. Social content slaves. So this movie is allegedly 10 hours and 23 minutes long. I say allegedly though, because just like the other ones, there is no trace of this movie anywhere. I can't find it online, I can't find physical copies, I can't even find a trailer. So you know what that means. Fan is banished off the list. Who knows though, maybe this one is actually real. The concept sounds kind of interesting, but I don't know if I could watch 10 hours of someone being held at gunpoint forced to make TikTok content. Now that is true horror. Okay, the 4th banger on the list is The Solace from 2014. This movie is 450 minutes long, or 7 hours and 30 minutes. There's no plot for this movie on IMDb, but look at this. We got trailer footage. I found a bit of a plot synopsis on another website. Forget everything you know about the living dead. The rules have changed. The Solace is a trilogy telling the story of David and Nicole Peterson, 2 very special survivors of a genetic plague. Judging by the trailer footage we can see here, this seems like a low-budget zombie movie. And from the synopsis, we saw it was also a trilogy. So that's a pretty ambitious project to try to make a trilogy right off the bat for your zombie apocalypse movie. So I respect the ambition of the director. Yet again, I was unable to find a full version of this movie, but there are some clips online.
My name is Cooper.
Gunshot sound effect.mp3.
Good.
You can hear the director saying good between the shots.
Good.
Oh, our boy tanked the bullet. So I think that gives you an idea of the quality of the film we're looking at here. Watching 7 hours of this might actually be kind of entertaining, but probably not for being scary. Now, where it falls on the list, there's a problem. Since this is a trilogy, does this count as one movie? I don't think so. So yet again, another one on the list that I don't think we can put as the longest horror movie of all time. It's 3 movies in one, and I think it's more of a comedy. Now, I am making jokes about this movie, but honestly, I respect anybody who goes out there and makes something like this, like 7.5 hours of some guy's passion project. It's impressive in another way. It may not be the best movie, but you know, he got it done. Okay, so moving on to our 5th film on the list. We have 3 Mirrors, Creatures, Flashes of Flesh. Sounds like a Dr. Seuss title. And this one is 442 minutes long, or 7 hours and 22 minutes. So keeping with the theme of this list, this movie isn't available anywhere, but it's because it actually hasn't been released. There are quite a few trailers for it though, and I gotta say, it does seem kind of interesting. The synopsis is, in the aftermath of an emotional shock, a ruthless high-class manager faces her own abyss, becomes pervaded by a sensory spirit, and undertakes a purifying voyage. It seems to be a very experimental horror movie with crazy visual effects and audio effects. It's very visually chaotic, a lot going on, very auditorily chaotic. I don't want to say hallucinogenic, but it does seem like a strange experience. With the movie being 7 hours plus long, it'd be impressive if it keeps up this pace of complexity the entire time. If that's done, that's actually extremely impressive and would make this an easier watch because it's so visually stimulating and auditorily stimulating all the time. Since the movie isn't released, we don't know exactly what it will be like. Maybe these trailers are edited in a certain way. But like I said, if it keeps this pace, it keeps this level of editing, this level of visual noise, then I think it would be actually something interesting to watch. I think it'd be more like an overall experience than a movie, but that's cool in its own way. There isn't very many plot details, and I would put this under the category of experimental horror. The creativity of putting all these shots together in very interesting ways is honestly an amazing feat. Like I couldn't even imagine to begin how to formulate this idea in my brain and then try to actually make it happen, which it looks like this director has done. And I think it hasn't been released yet because it seems like such a huge project to try to undertake. And I gotta say, all the trailers have a completely different feel, and they have banger soundtracks. The soundtracks slap, okay? It's like glitchy, experimental soundtrack music with different tones depending on the mood, and the soundtrack also matches with the visuals or vice versa. But yeah, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this, and I guess we'll see when it's released what the final product is. But based on the trailers, it's pretty interesting. So looking on IMDb, it says the movie's been completed, so I think that means that runtime is confirmed. So this would make it the first movie on our list so far that actually qualifies as the longest horror movie. So is this the longest horror movie at 7 hours and 22 minutes? Probably not. Probably someone in the comments is going to tell me of some like 40-hour abomination that's way longer. But just with this list, our longest horror movie of all time is sitting at 7 hours and 22 minutes. I would like to go through the rest of the list, but I feel like this is a good spot to end it on a positive note, because this seemed like an interesting movie and I didn't have to clown on it like all the others. So I feel like that's a good note, but if you want to see me go through more of these super long movies or these experimental movies, comment below, subscribe, you know how it is. Oh, and just on a side note, if you're an amateur film director with a low budget, probably don't make an 8-hour movie, okay? Maybe a short film, that's a good place to start. But don't take my advice. Be ambitious, do what you want, make the next master trilogy, I don't know. But the most important thing is just have fun. Okay, bye-bye.